And we live to live crew.
We are live. We are live.
You're.
We are live.
Man. Whew. Whew, whew, whew. I am alive. We are live and I am alive.
Oh, man.
Blessed be the Lord.
I know, right? Hey, one day we got to do a Gilded Stories, man. Just.
Man. It's a lot.
Telling the war stories of the weekend or whatever.
Man, I appreciate all y'all though.
For sure.
Shout out to everybody.
For sure.
For tuning in. This is another episode of Eavesdrop. We was just in here. My man was telling me about myself crazily last night.
Hey, listen, man.
Shout out to everybody who came out to the DC Young Dems holiday party. Shout out to my EOM family. Shout out to my man Irv for just getting married.
We got hit something for my man. Though. It's beautiful.
Got to, man. That's all love. That's all love. It was a great day yesterday and last night. I did like a marathon. I hit up 3 holiday parties.
Oh yeah, man.
Back to back.
Yeah. What they call that? The cycle.
Man.
You did the cycle.
I should probably be chilling out right now, but I'm not. And so today, as y'all can see in the title, what we gonna be talking about is your boy Jussie Smollet. You gotta make sure we looking forward and looking straight, because we're talking to you, the beautiful people, today. Yeah, I just had to get that. I don't know what that was. That's probably still from the bullshit last night. But nah, we talking about Jussie Smollet, Chris Cuomo, and unfortunately the extradition of Julian Assange.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So if you are tuning in with us right now, as we always ask y'all to do, go ahead, hit that like button, hit the share button. It's very helpful to us. It don't cost you nothing to do. It very much is so the free way to add and give value to the channel. Again, thank you again for all of those people who came out to support DC Young Dems holiday party. Also, while you are here, head over to thegildedsages.com. Subscribe to our forum wall. Become a member. You can add posts yourself. There is no censorship, so the topics can vary. All you got to do is stick to the community guidelines, and that's all we ask. Happy holidays to all of those beautiful people.
Yes.
Be safe out here. But after all that being said, did you have anything to add before we go ahead and get started?
Nothing at all. Just happy Hanukkah, happy, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, make sure that you give love. It's not all about just gifts. You can help someone in need, So it's that time of the year.
Thank you. And first, we're going to get into the boy Jussie Smollet.
Juicy fruit.
The guilty verdict, latest and polarizing case. So it says Chicago, Jussie Smollett's conviction Thursday for lying to a police about a racist, homophobic attack came nearly 3 years after his report of a horrifying hate crime quickly became part of a polarized political landscape with people, including the President of the United States, weighing in from all over. A prosecutor said that the verdict was a resounding message to the jury that Mr. Smollet did exactly what we said he did. Recruit 2 brothers to fake an attack so it could be recorded by a surveillance camera and posted on social media for publicity. The brothers testified that former Empire actor paid them $3,500 for the hoax and gave them lines to yell, including MAGA country, and apparent reference to then President Donald Trump Make America Great Again slogan. The report made headlines around the world and prompted a massive manhunt in Chicago with roughly 24 police joining the investigation. Not only did Mr. Smollet lie to the police and wreak havoc here in the city for weeks for no reason whatsoever, but then he compounded the problem by lying under oath to a jury, Special Prosecutor Dan Webb said after Thursday's verdict. Smollet, who is black and gay, maintained throughout the nearly 3-year legal battle that he was attacked in downtown Chicago on January 29th by people who yelled racist and anti-gay slurs. And put a noose around his neck.
That was the part for me. Like, come on, fam.
That was the part.
Come on, fam.
That was the part for most people because what it comes down to, and the reason I wanted to talk about it was because when we talk about media being the fourth branch of government, the unofficial branch of government, what a lot of people, what I think is very important, especially with a lot of the different things that have come out over, time, is that we had a whole instance where this person, Jussie Smollet, lied. And as a result of lying, there was unfortunate blame and, placed in places that was unfortunate because a lot of the discourse had also came down to hetero, cis, or however you want to describe us males who like the vaginas are. We got called homophobic, anti, all these different things when, then Dave Chappelle comes full circle and like we in most cases knew it was a lie.
Hey.
Because the thing is, one, you got Subway. And what I want to ask people really is that what point do we get to that we are holding people accountable or actually vetting the stories that people tell before we allow these media frenzies to take place, and how those media frenzies also pour into narratives about one specific demographic. Because the Jussie Smollet case was so like they said, polarized, and then you had politicians like Kamala and people within the Democratic Party come out because it was a good posturing tool.
And even a mayor, and I'm like, lady, you got over what? At that point, it was what, 600-700 murders of real people. Not to say he's not a real person, but come on, fam, like you don't do that for them.
You talking about I forget her name. Lightfoot?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, it was real things going on in Chicago. I want to say the teachers were on strike or about to strike. Mm-hmm. And this is what you decide to get it. Like, come on now. And this is what I talk about in terms of just, for me, it's the identity politics that just ruins everything for me. Mm-hmm. Because the fact that this was even brought to the level that it got this much attention, especially from us, knowing that we have so many other issues within just that community. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, there are women that get this treatment for real, and he just lied about it. That happens in Chicago. And he gets all of this because of identity politics and something that can be polarized and made polarized. And it's like, this is dangerous. And to be honest with you, I would have no problem with him doing hard time for this. Because at the end of the day, how does he get all of this attention for things that happen to real everyday people that get no media attention? Mm-hmm. There are people in Chicago that get killed in alleyways that don't get no media coverage.
So let me ask you this. What do you place, or what do you think that media outlets and news outlets, because what I'm also seeing is that there's a lot of different instances where people are presenting information that hasn't been fully vetted, and we're presenting information as it comes, and unfortunately our media outlets have succumbed to a, I guess, cycle or practice in which people are trying to, instead of be thorough in their publications, they are trying to just be first. And in being first, there is the danger in which a lot of what gets posted and spread isn't necessarily per se true.
Yes.
Because even when we talk about, and we're going to get into later, the whole Chris Cuomo situation, you're talking about a Chris Cuomo who was at the beginning of COVID, like people were fanboying over this guy.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to watch because I'm just like, this is the same Chris Cuomo that we know to be a bad person. And it came full circle again, and similar to like the whole Jussie Smollet situation, my issue and the reason why I wanted to discuss this is that us as the electorate, right, the mass, how and where do we fix the issue in that we're being fed information that, one, is disingenuous, two, has these political agendas tied to it, and three, is not vetted?
I think for me, because the information has always existed for me. Like, I don't separate the times and things in which they happen, because we always had misinformation, disinformation, propaganda. Those things were always a thing within society since the dawn of time. The issue is not necessarily the information, it's the fact that anybody with an opinion can get elevated in conversation about said information. It used to be you had to really be someone that has been vetted, that has been through sort of a process in order to formulate these opinions about things. Now you have it where anybody can pick up a talking point and just run with it and get likes, retweets, or whatever they're using. And now all of a sudden they're an expert because they've gotten a lot of people to sort of sway the conversations. And what's happening is everybody's in on it. It's not even just the average person. There are people that are disguising themselves, that are just using these talking points to push discussions that have nothing to do with anything but propaganda. Like, a lot of everything that we're engaging in is nothing but classic propaganda. It's the same thing we used to do in every other country, and now it's being done to us. We did these types of things in countries like Cuba. We've done them in all kinds of Venezuela, Argentina.
And when we talking about propaganda, you talking about the misuse and misdirection of information to create a
exactly. Okay. Just using information, disinformation to move an agenda forward.
So let me ask you this though, because I would agree with that. I think that with that being said though, it is propaganda. I do agree that we've been put in this situation where you are an influencer and people have influence not based on their pedigree, not based on any specific type of certification, but rather how many followers or subscribers you have. I don't want to say that is a phenomenon of media and they are responsible for that as well. I think that some of the onus has to be put on us as the electorate.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that too.
Actually rectify that issue, because I converse with people who, in some cases, have an understanding that you shouldn't really just listen to people just because they have a huge following. But unfortunately, especially with like the younger generations and people who may not necessarily be privy, I was, for example, saw something on Twitter earlier when I had woke up with Charlamagne and Kamala Harris in an engagement. Charlamagne has a platform because people watch The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is more like a hot tea show.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that people then lend that credibility to allow him to be in a space to talk to politicians. Politicians and elected officials are, because I'm not trying to say that Charlemagne is dumb, but I don't think that Charlemagne should be the person who is actually engaging that process, because he does not have the pedigree, he does not have the understanding, he does not have the prowess in that way to be able to effectively pull from that discussion. Now, to your point, it might be propaganda, because when we talk about the media, people who engage, I would say that they are hyper aware that the Charlemagnes and the Cardi B's of the world are not intellectual in that way to push and challenge them in the ways that they may be more apprehensive about having certain conversations with somebody who actually engages in that field, who might be opposed to them. And so they go and reach out to those people. But I think it's on those. I really do just think that we have to just become more aware and more self-aware as an electorate if we really want to address the issue. Because I hear a lot of people, unfortunately, talk about the media and their issue with media and their issue with all of these different byproducts of whether it be stereotypical narratives that are in shows or conversations or however they manifest, right? But for another example, you got, what is it, Bad Girls Club and all of those different type of shows?
Yeah.
People get mad about the narrative, or black women will get mad about certain narratives and stereotypes that, you know, people have about them, which is fair. But I think that it's an interesting conundrum that show, though, is also probably one of the top 5 most watched shows on cable television.
Exactly.
And so it's like we have this interesting scenario where people are complaining about a particular paradigm or a particular manifestation of propaganda, but they also feed into the propaganda itself.
Exactly. And that's why I say it's so dangerous, because these are the things that America has done to other countries, where we use propaganda as a way to force a dependency on us, but in return, those people then corrode a lot of what we do. Like, take, for example, the U.S. and Mexico. We exploit Mexico in a lot of different ways in terms of trade and all of those types of things, and using propaganda from the ways in which we do things that affect them. But in reverse, they also send, people who take jobs. It's a cause and effect when you dealing with propaganda. And what I want people to understand is that it's not the information. Well, it is the information, but it's more so about who, and understanding who has the control. Because it's not even about a person. It's not even about the information. It's about the source. If you understand what the source of the information is, it's easy to dismiss a lot of it. It's easy to dismiss it, because that's all you really have to do when it comes to propaganda and dealing with information, is learning, okay, I know that this was funded by the cigarette company. Dismissed. I know that this came from such and such. This doesn't matter. I know that this was intended to make me feel this way, but this isn't relevant to my life. Dismissed.
But with that, though, you run into the issue of being in a America that is run by corporations.
But see, everybody doesn't have that, and that's the problem. Everybody hasn't come to that conclusion yet. Everybody does. You'll be surprised how many people that do not have a proper understanding of the fact that a lot of this stuff is planned, is organized, and it's meant to get the reactions that you give it. And it's spun in a way to force you to engage in conversations that have no relevancy in your life. Like, God bless Jussie Smollett. I hope he don't go down too bad for this, even though personally I feel like, what he did deserves, just off the strength of You Cried Wolf. But this has no relevancy to anyone in our immediate life circumstance. So why is it even something to talk about? That's what the conclusion should be from a lot of the different things that we just so happen to engage in. Like, it has no relevance.
I think the 24-hour news cycle destroyed a lot of, what would I call it, integrity-based
That too.
information, just because you have to fill that time block, and unfortunately, to fill that time block, you got to find news. And because you then move into the space where you have to put in things that aren't necessarily newsworthy.
You had to make them newsworthy somehow,
some way, because unfortunately, like I always talk about, the media, especially, and when I say, I'm going to separate media and journalism for a quick moment here. Because journalism is a part of media, but journalists move, or at the base, I was about to say, the base supposed to move completely different from the rest of the media, who is governed by the same capitalistic base. But unfortunately, what we see now is that they have also been captured by capital. And the unfortunate piece of that is that that's where you see things like paywalls, all of that type of stuff, which is basically what I feel like is criminal, only because now to be aware, you have to be of a certain class, because everybody can't necessarily afford a $15 a month subscription to the Washington Post, or a $259 subscription to the New York, not the New York Times, but the New Yorker. Like, fortunately, the way I do my subscriptions, I pull back on others, but like, I have a bunch of like New Yorkers, because I want the access to the information. And let me ask you this though: am I being too hard in the sense that, because I feel like for me it was a thing of, yes, I'm blessed in the way that I can do that, but is it also a matter of people prioritizing the information that they get? No,
it's people Listen, libraries have been free since the dawn of time. The things that we find the time for in a day, like, it's really no excuse. I get it, there are paywalls to certain things, but let's be honest here. Look at what we do consume. Look at what we consume. Look at what we pay for. Look at what we spend our time at. Like, educating yourself should be at the top of everybody's list and priorities of things to do. And it does not take that much effort to do so. It is the most free thing that you can do, to go walk 5 blocks to your local library and find something and read about it. Like, a lot of these different things, like, we overcomplicate things because of the vast amount of things, because infinity is killing us. There's a billion shows to watch. There's a billion songs to listen to. There's a billion of everything out there. And people just get lost and lose the value of everything because it's so much of it. When literally that's just a marketing tactic. They charge you whatever, when really you're not going to go through half of the catalog of anything. But that's a different conversation. For me, I feel like there's enough time that we spend mindlessly scrolling, mindlessly engaging in things. Like, you have people in the middle of a work week that will type paragraphs upon paragraphs in comic sections, giving their whole life dissertation during work hours, but we can't get to a library to get real information. Come on, fam. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. If you can go into Kevin Samuel's comment section and type a whole paragraph that he probably ain't gonna look at, you got the time to go to the library and educate yourself. You have it. It's there. No, it's there, bro. It's there, bro. Look at Look at these comment sections of some of these memes. People got time, bro. They got time. It's there, fam. Your phone will lie on you. It will lie on you.
Nobody got time for that.
Alright. Look at the average person phone. Go look at that phone. I guarantee you it's 10 plus hours on those social media apps. Media takeout. Shade room. I guarantee these people are in these comment sections wasting time away. But we talking about not having information available. Come on, fam.
So, alright.
Come on, fam.
I agree to an extent. I personally, the way I use social media, I do catch myself sometimes scrolling. I try not to, because you can lose like hours out of the day from scrolling. I typically don't really engage social media like that, especially nowadays, just because I feel like it's toxic. And it doesn't necessarily get you anywhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
for me, it's the cutting hair tutorials, man. I be scrolling down. It be just cutting hair and like when they cut the animal hairs and yeah, it's weird. But yeah, so, the videos just keep coming and just keep coming and just.
So I just got word. Unfortunately, my guy will not be able to make it. So I'm gonna go ahead. You can go ahead and drop the what you call it in the chat. So if anybody want to come up, they can go ahead.
All right. Let me go ahead and get that in now.
But yeah, man. If you still here with us watching right now, go ahead, man. Hit the like button, hit the share button, comment. He about to drop this in the chat, so that if you want to come up, if you got any different opinions, or if you just want to, give your piece, that's also free as well to do.
Yeah.
So.
And like I said, man, it's so much free stuff, bro. It's so much free stuff. It's a lot of people that get one view, like we do, that give all of this free stuff, but we don't give that the attention. You know what I'm saying? It's free libraries out here that's got all the information in the world, vetted information in the world that we just don't engage in. But we in everybody's comment section. We in the shade room. We I'm talking about everybody's.
All right, so let me do this. I'm gonna move it and hold that thought because I'm gonna move it.
Go ahead.
All right, so y'all still with us? Eavesdrop, y'all just coming in. We talking about media scandals. We talking about media as a whole, how to address the way the media moves. So yeah, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the share button. Join in the conversation if you want. The actual thing link is in the chat. And so this article right now, we're talking about Chris Cuomo, newly fired from CNN, faces an allegation of sexual misconduct. And so when CNN fired primetime star Chris Cuomo on Saturday, the network cited new information casting a fresh and harsh light on his efforts to aid his brother, Andrew Cuomo, in combating sexual harassment allegations. Yet CNN's actions came just a day after the prominent Washington, D.C. workplace attorney arranged to share material supporting accusations by a former colleague of Cuomo at ABC News that he had sexually harassed her there. My client came forward at the time because she felt in sharing her story and related documentation, she could help protect other women, Deborah Katz said in a statement on Sunday. Matt Matt Dornick, head of communications from CNN, said that outside attorneys last week determined Cuomo had committed fireable offenses related to his brother's scandal, violating the terms of his contract. When the new allegations came to us this week, we took them seriously and had no reason to delay taking immediate action, he said in a statement. Shortly after his firing, Cuomo tweeted saying his termination was disappointing. This is not how I want my time at CNN to end, but I have already told you why and how I helped my brother, he said. Cuomo didn't address the sexual misconduct allegation against him by Kat's client, but his spokesperson, Stephen Goldberg, denied it in a statement in the New York Times. Documents reveal Chris Cuomo's role in helping Andrew Cuomo counter a sexual harassment scandal. Cuomo joined CNN after a long stretch at ABC News. The question of Cuomo's action had been percolating for months ever since the accusation against then government Andrew Cuomo first gained traction. On Tuesday, CNN suspended Cuomo following the release by James Office, former governor. The documents released Monday included Cuomo's email and text exchanges about the scandal enveloping Andrew Cuomo, as well as news hosts. He also, Chris Cuomo, that being, violated journalism ethics, journalists say. Numerous CNN journalists have told NPR and other news outlets that they believe Chris Cuomo had clearly violated professional and ethical canons by seeking to manage media coverage of his brother, an elected official. Cuomo's fraternal love fest with his brother in the early months of COVID-19, making the governor a primetime source of entertainment and teasing and presenting him as an example of how to handle the pandemic, has also come in for criticism. Former Governor Cuomo's policies are now being investigated to see whether they helped lead to hundreds of deaths at senior facilities. Kravitz concluded Cuomo's offenses were also contractual, that he had failed to disclose to his bosses that he had actually done, even as they were defending him publicly. Cuomo said he acted as any brother would. CNN said that he was wrong to participate in any strategy calls with Governor Cuomo's aides, that his own involvement was limited to being a sounding board. Cuomo had previously admitted giving advice to his brother and his brother's staff, but denied attacking any of the women who came forward for making the calls. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop there. The actual link to the article is in the below description. But I read all of that because I wanted to have a discussion in and around, again, similar to what we were having prior to, is that you're talking about Governor Cuomo, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're talking about the curation, and what this article is talking about is the curation of the narrative. In this case, for the good, and also just the access to be able to curate the narrative. So here you have a brother who, because of his access to media, has provided cover for his brother, Andrew, who was governor and was also doing corrupt things. Now, I'm not sure if everybody was following, but I want to say the AG, was she Letitia Wright up in NY? And anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. She investigated the issue with the senior homes that he was lying about. Yeah. And so, again, we're talking about somebody who has access to people, who has the ability to be very corrupt, but at the same time also be able to get this narrative presented. With that being said, I asked to the audience and I asked to us that in moving forward, how do we navigate a space in an arena where persons, elected officials, can be scumbags of people. Mm-hmm. But because they have access and resources, they can get the narrative created that they are very good people, which influences the electorate or the masses to act in a way to give them more power. Because again, Andrew Cuomo was at the top of COVID a loved figure, embraced figure. Everybody was like, Cuomo for president.
Yeah.
Cuomo for president.
Yeah. He did a show. Didn't he do a show on quarantine? And we was loving it.
Right? And it came out that he faked that. It came out that
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Because again, he got caught under the guise that again, you are telling people to quarantine, etc., but you aren't doing what it is you're saying you're doing.
And then he also say like people who weren't vaccinated deserve to like die or something of that sort.
I'm not sure if he said
or was it
that.
The other one?
I'm not sure.
It was one of those CNN hosts that was like the unvaccinated need to die and not take up hospital beds or something.
A lot of people, and that's what I'm getting to. So you have people again, because he is who he is. You have them out here saying these things, and because they have, again, he has a brother who is curating his narrative, curating his image, while he's also behind the scenes helping him navigate sex allegations, cover up what happened to people in the senior centers, etc. Getting more power to incite people to have these narratives, because I've heard people in real life say, well, people who didn't get vaccinated don't deserve a bed. And I'm like, look, we can't go down, this is a whole nother conversation, but we can't go down that path, because if people wanted to get really ticky-tacky like that, a person who is fit, I could just say, hey, bro, you fat and you don't work out. You don't deserve a hospital bed. Why? Because you're bringing it on yourself.
This is true.
And so, if people want to really go down that road, we can. But the conversation that I want to have now, though, is about how do we navigate a space where the people who are the offenders, the people who are the treacherous, I don't even know a word to call them, but the people who lack the integrity are also being amplified. How do we navigate a space when we're trying to address a lot of these communal issues, societal issues, corruption issues, whether it be from whatever industry, because it exists across the board. But how do we navigate that space, bro? Like
we and it comes down to, we have to really understand and know who has the control. Like, even when it comes down to elected officials, you gotta know who has the control and who has the power. For example, as much as the right wants to attack Joe Biden's son for having so much to do with overseas ventures while he was vice president, making a lot of money in China, at the end of the day, everybody's favorite guy, Money Making Mitch, his wife is Chinese and she does dealings with the Chinese government. Matter of fact, I want to say her dad is one of the largest manufacturers, or the board of one of the largest manufacturers in China. They are the ones that control a lot of what these people's narratives are. So when you really get an understanding that it's not the person that's doing the talking, it's the institutions that have the control over the people, and they are mere puppets to these institutions, then you start to really see a lot of this for what it is, because it's playground games. It's playground games when you really get down to what's being done in America. It's playground games. Oh, this person is doing this, so I have to be able to do that. Oh, the way I look at this Cuomo thing. Oh well, Trump did a lot of these different things during his presidency, and he set the precedent for being able to do these things during his presidency. So why shouldn't Chris Cuomo be able to help his brother when Trump is helping all of these people and making sure they don't go to it's playground games. Seriously, when you really get down to it, what's happening in America is playground elementary school games. I see them all the time. It's just done with a lot more money at stake, and with a lot more serious consequences that people just don't realize because we're engaging in playground games.
Yeah.
So you just got to know who has the control in society, and it's the institutions. It has nothing to do with people anymore. People are an old algorithm. It's an old algorithm. No person has any control over a narrative or over a message. It's an institution that makes a call to a person that has the gravitas, the clout, whatever you want to call it. They speak a talking point, and we spend a whole week wasting our God-given time that we should be doing real work in communities. We spend a whole week discussing it, and then when the institution makes the call to be like, okay, we're not talking about this no more, you don't hear about it anymore, as if it's still not going on. They decide what is important and what's not. Like, I remember that Coney thing. Like, how does certain things just disappear? Like, Coney was a big thing for about a week, and we cared about Africa for about a whole week, and then it just went away.
But I think I think
as if that stuff's still not going on. Like, we just, okay, this week we care about this. We don't realize the institution is like, okay, this is what we're going to care about this week. But separate that. Average people are like, okay, we really care about this week. We're going to protest. We're going to do the most about this week. But then as soon as CNN or whoever makes the call, now it's time to care about this. And it's like, why? Why every week I got to care about something that don't feed me, that don't pay me? Like, what happened to stuff really focusing on things that really impact us as people? Like, if this was the 70s, we wouldn't give a hell about, we would be caring about inflation, nigga. Like, the price of milk going up, the price of gas.
Because that's what's really, hey, that right there, that inflation conversation.
Exactly. But we sitting here and we talking about these people that's going to be good regardless.
But I think that,
it's a lot that we could be slim.
And so for me, it's like, that's the thing. Honestly, I think that the way we should address it and move through it is, which is why I do this, is being more aware, actually taking the time to reflect and think on what it is that we are engaging, to your point of like, we have to get to a point where it's like, all right, I'm not engaging that because it's coming from, like you said, this source. We know that this source has a track record of just wanting to incite a particular rage, because we know that inciting people and bringing them into their emotions is a thing. We know that over the course of the whole Black Lives Matter movement and, you know, people getting gunned down, unfortunately, that is emotion harvest, as much as people don't necessarily want to admit it, because I do believe that a lot of these things are done intentionally.
Yeah.
But I think moving forward, though, as a people, as an electorate, and specifically more so us as a group, Black people, ADOS, African American, however you want to put it, we have to get to a space where we aren't so emotionally manipulated, because unfortunately, especially with all like the AOCs and the social justice warriors of the world, it's a new cause every day.
Every day, bro.
And a lot of people will say that, you know, we can walk and chew bubblegum or we can multitask. I would push back on that and say that multitasking has not gotten us pretty much anywhere as it relates to progress.
Mm-hmm.
For example, even when you talk about like the fact that what we forget, a lot of people right now are talking about Joe Biden, calling him a liar and calling and saying he bamboozled us. And I highly disagree. Even the critiques that I've had on Joe Biden, I think Joe Biden, even though I don't necessarily agree with him, was honest. Has been very honest in saying that I'm not giving you all the student loan debt relief. You know, he kind of walked back a little bit as to say like, okay, because I'm going through the election process, maybe 10.
Yeah.
But he never lied to the extent that he said he would veto Medicare for all bill if it came across his desk. He never gave people the impression. What I also think is a solution is that people actually just accept, as simple as it sounds, accept what and who people are.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people tell you how they really feel about you based on how they act, based on how they move. A lot of people will say, oh, politicians are disrespectful and they're liars. What does that mean, though? That means that they think you dumb enough to keep believing the same lies.
Yeah.
And they're kind of right. Because we keep doing the same thing and believing the same lies.
Exactly.
And so I'm not necessarily here to, at this point, just berate elected officials, politicians, and just the media. Because we feed into it as a group. And so it's like, people will say, well, what do you consume then? You don't consume anything until they give you what they want. It's like any other business. Okay, you want to keep making crew necks. I told you I like turtlenecks.
Yeah.
If you keep making crew necks, I'm not buying no crew neck. And guess what? That business goes out of business. And guess what? You get a business who sells you turtlenecks.
Yeah.
The same thing with elected officials. People, instead of saying, oh, yeah, we want people who tell the truth, the harsh truth, right? If you run for office, people will be like, oh, you got to learn how to be more tactful. And basically what they're saying is, you gotta be better at telling a little white lie, what they call it. But with that being said, don't get mad that politicians lie. That's what y'all like. That's what y'all buying. That's what you all are engaging with. Because again, people say, oh, well, that's part of the game. What I don't think people realize is that we, the electorate, is super powerful in the sense that the consumer is powerful in the sense that you dictate the behavior of what is being sold to you.
Yeah.
Because, okay, we don't like politicians who lie. So, people may feel like it may be brash and harsh and an extremist ideology, but okay, if I continue to see a behavior pattern and I feel like you're a liar, you gotta go now. That may not be the case, but because I want to set the standard and set the tone of I want elected or a media that does A, B, C, D. I want you to move in such a way that the transparency, I don't even have to be afraid. I don't even have to think about the fact that, you know what, this may be a lie. I mean, even though that's always inherent there. But what I'm saying is you can curate it to the extent that we aren't talking about Fort Detrick being operated on right up the Beltway. Black bodies. We're not talking about medical apartheid. We're not talking about things being declassified 10 years later. We're not having a conversation around why. We're not having a conversation around the fact that, oh, well, Fauci gets on TV and says, yeah, I told y'all a noble lie. We're not having a conversation around the fact that, you know, yes, when it comes to the jab, you are protected. But the other pre-articles have also noted that if you catch the disease, you're 3 times more protected than any person who's got the jab, and 6 times more protected than a person who's got the jab over after the period of 6 months.
And you can still spread it regardless.
Right? But what people don't understand is we do have power. It comes with discipline. Like I don't watch certain stuff. I don't engage in certain stuff. Like again, like I was telling you, only time I've taken Ubers, shout out to the people who love me, is when I be too slapped in the face, they make sure I don't drive and get me an Uber home. Even though I argue them down for 30 minutes saying that I can drive home.
Yeah,
I love y'all. But I don't really do Ubers and stuff like that because I don't appreciate the gig economy and how it manipulates and exploits the user in the market. But I think that people absolve their power when we say and continue to engage these media frenzies in such a way where it's like, oh, well, we gotta pay attention because that's what's being talked about. Like, no. Especially when we know that the people that's being talked about are bad people. Because even if we talking about, again, Andrew Cuomo, we know him to be a bad person. Can people change? Absolutely. But you don't give them the good faith if they have not done the action and have not done the work to prove the good faith. So it's like people want to be in this space where you just want to hope for people to be better and people to be good. No, you have to push people to be better and push people to be good. Yeah. Like, no, F you.
Yeah.
F you. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not watching your show. I'm not doing that. Like we said earlier, if black women have a problem with being portrayed a certain way, I'm not watching Bad Girls Club. Facts. I'm not watching none of y'all derelict ass movies that keep portraying us that way. I'm not hate watching it. I'm not doing nothing.
No time.
Guess what? Your movie flopping.
Exactly.
Flopping. Because what? When you hate watch it, the way Capital work, Capital don't have no emotion. Capital like, I got the view. I got the watch. The money is there. Exactly. It don't matter. And so, even when it, like, for example, the whole NFL situation, I still don't watch that shit. You wanna what? Because the disrespect was at such a level that nobody can really return from.
And continue disrespect. Like, bro, they got these dudes playing in coke, whatever. But where do I go? So for me, I'm gonna go out on the ledge here, and I'm gonna say that the way that the media uses our history is disgusting. The way we view our history is disgusting. And the way that it's been co-opted throughout the years is almost to the point where we damn near have to abandon a lot of it. At least the talking points of it. Because if you let the media tell Adolf's history, black history, there's slavery, there's civil rights, there's welfare, there's violence, and those 5 things alone are the reason why we are the way we are. There's no in between. And that is probably the worst aspect of what our own people buy into, write books about, perpetuate, get jobs for. Like, you have people literally that will slut themselves out over these narratives that are damaging. That all we are as a people is rap, slavery, civil rights in a couple of years, and welfare. Literally.
Yeah.
Whole careers made on just those 5 tropes alone that we perpetuate. So for me, we have to get deeper into our history and understand and have a better, thorough understanding of how many things that we've done, how many things that we've tried and attempted to really get a sense of where we are. Because there's too many people that have these grandiose ideas that if you just fucking crack the book open, you will see, oh, this black man in the 40s tried this shit and it fucking didn't work. Oh, what he's coming up with was said 30 fucking years ago and it didn't fucking work. Like, and it's not to say that, it's not relevant. It's the fact that I'm tired of people coming out claiming they done knew this, they knew that. These are things that have never been talked about before, never discussed. This, that, and the like, nobody should be able to talk about our history and present it in a way as if that shit was new to our own people.
Yeah.
Like, they really got people believing that a lot of what's being said about us and a lot of these conversations that's being had are new. And it's just the ignorance of us not delving into our history. You know what I'm saying? And it's sickening. It's really sad because you have people that make a lot of different money. That's why I say to free us, you got to destroy a lot of black people. You got to destroy a lot of black people because it's so many people that get money off the chaos and perpetuating the chaos of just black people not knowing their own history. A lot of people get paid doing that. They get one aspect or they understand one period of time and they paint that period of time as if that explains all of black history. All of black history. You see it all the time. You got people that co-opt one period of time and ride themselves all the way into the office, the highest office. That's what I talk about when we say co-opted things of our history being co-opted, our history being misrepresented. Like, nobody should be able to take advantage of our history and create these talking points and create so much confusion and chaos to where we don't even understand our own history and what we've done in this country. Like, it's sickening.
All right, so that's what you ended with?
For the most part, yeah, I'm done.
You good?
I'm done. I'm sick of this shit. Where my man? Get my man on the. Get him out of it.
Man, get him out of here. Get him out of here.
You can get him out. Yeah, get him out. Get him the hell out of here.
We done.
Sick of this shit.
We sick of it. We tired of people just using the shit for the
clout
shit. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is thank you for everybody who is tuned in right now. We gonna move into the next article. Go ahead, please, if you can, just go ahead and hit the like button, share button. Help us out in that way. We definitely surely appreciate it. And again, if you want to, you can go to our website, thegildedsages.com. You can become a member, add any posts, forums. Again, no censorship, as long as you adhere to the community guidelines, which are very, pretty simple. I'm not a stickler on language, but just no disrespect, no hate, no violence, no threats to other people. But being able to have that dialogue and discussion, I think is very important about very, very, very sensitive issues. Is where we are going to see the growth in our communities, especially and as America as a whole. So thank you for that. What we're going to talk about next, which is probably one of the more pressing situations and more important issues, is the Julian Assange case. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and bring that into the frame. And so it says Julian Assange can be extradited to the U.S. Court rules. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange can be extradited from the UK to the US. The High Court has ruled. The US won its appeal against a January UK court ruling that he cannot be extradited due to concerns over his mental health. Judges were reassured by U.S. promises to reduce the risk of suicide. His fiancée said they were intended to appeal. Mr. Assange is wanted in the U.S. over the publication of thousands of classified documents to 2010 and 2011. Senior judges found the lower judge had based her decision in January on the risk of Mr. Assange being held in a highly restricted prison conditions if extradited. However, the U.S. authorities later gave assurances that he would not face those strictest measures unless he committed an act of future that merited them. Given the judgment, Lord Chief Justice Lord Burnett said the risk is in our judgment excluded by assurances which were offered. It follows that we are satisfied that if the assurances had been before the judge, she would have answered the relevant questions differently. Mr. Assange's fiancée, Stella Morris, called the ruling dangerous and misguided, adding that the U.S. assurance were inherently unreliable. In an emotional statement outside the court, Ms. Morris said, for the past 2 years and a half, Julian has remained in Belmarsh prison, and in fact, he has been detained since December the 7th, 2010 in one form or another, 11 years. For how long can this go on? WikiLeaks editor-in-chief Kristen Hafrasan said in the statement, Julia's life once more under grave threat, and so is the right of journalists to publish material that governments and corporations find inconvenient. This is about the right of free press to publish without being threatened by a bullying superpower. Amnesty International described the ruling as a travesty of justice and the U.S. assurances as deeply flawed. Niels Munskis, the Human Rights Organization's Europe director, said it poses a grave threat to press freedom, both in the United States and abroad. Judge ordered the case must return to Westminster Magistrates Court for a district judge to send it formally to Home Secretary Priti Patel. Mr. Assange's legal team, Bernard Pierce solicitors, said any appeal to the Supreme Court will relate to the questions of assurances rather than on issues such as free speech to the political motivation of U.S. extradition requests. Two of the country's most senior judges have concluded that there is nothing in law to stop the UK sending Julian Assange to America. In line with previous cases, the Lord Chief Justice and Lord Justice Holyrood ruled that when the U.S. administration gives a promise to the UK of fair and humane treatment of a detainee, its word should not be doubted. Team Assange are likely to try to reverse the judgment in two ways. First, they want to challenge last January's findings that his leaks amounted to an alleged crime, but it's not clear if such an appeal would be heard. I'm going to move down a little bit. The U.S. had offered 4 assurances, including that Mr. Assange would not be subject to solitary confinement, pre or post trial, or detained at the ADX Florence Supermax jail, a maximum security prison in Colorado, if extradited. Lawyers for the U.S. said he would be allowed to transfer to Australia to serve any prison sentence he may be given closer to home. So, what I am going to do, because unfortunately this case right here is an unfortunate one.
Hey, listen. Let me just say one thing, Mo. Let me dispel one thing.
Go ahead.
Because we often get like the bad rap as far as us being gangster and this, that, and the... White people gangster as shit. There's some gangster thugging ass shit that America doing to this man.
Hey, hold on.
It's like, listen.
I'm gonna let you go because I want to frame it.
It's like, listen. You out here doing wild stuff. You running off with the plug.
Hold on.
So we gotta shut you.
Cause it's so crazy, and I want people, and I chose this one specifically to be last because I want to wrap it up, and I really want to frame it into. We had the conversation around the more frivolous conversations, the ones that are pushed in the front. But this right here is what we're talking about when we talk about the curation of the media and the corruption of the media, because this Julian Assange case, whether you may not be white or whatever, I want everybody to understand, especially if you are in any space talking about trying to push governments, push institutions to be better. Understand that this case in itself is going to have heavy backlash, because what they are saying, and I want everybody to be clear before we go ahead and get into the discussion, I want everybody to be clear. What they are saying is that because Julian Assange, a resident of the United Kingdom, mind you, not America, because he posted classified information, and we're talking about real and true journalism, because he posted classified information, because he had a individual, his client, who he worked with to get the information, he is now being brought up on criminal charges because it was not politically convenient for Hillary Clinton and all other involved parties to be ousted. The United States, Joe Biden is now, even against the position of Barack Obama and Donald Trump, to extradite this man to America to be charged and jailed criminally, because as a journalist he posted information that was true. That was true. That was true. But politically inconvenient. I want us all to understand that if we allow this to not be spoken about, because again, everybody's attention everywhere else.
Yeah, we talking about Jussie Smollet.
Right? If this goes down in the books, anybody who presents any information or critiques government in any type of way, or an elected official who is seemingly has the veil of benevolence, you can be charged criminally. Very much so for even talking about it right now.
Yeah.
You could possibly be charged criminally.
Yeah, what's the update on Eric Snowden? Never mind.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
We have a very serious problem.
We have a very serious problem
Oh man.
on our hands, because this right here is going to... I asked the question a while back on social media. Did people want self-censorship, corporate censorship, or state censorship? Right now, we are facing all three. And it's important to note that if people do not push back on this, give up all your dreams of freedom.
Yeah, we fucked.
I don't care if you love Joe Biden. This is disgusting.
It's thugging.
It's thugging. But I knew Joe Biden was a thug.
Oh yeah, I knew too. Soon as he told
Soon
as he told us we wasn't black, I was like, oh, he thugging. That's some gangster shit. I'ma tell you ain't black and you still gonna vote for me. And I'm gonna make your politician fry me fish.
But this is what I mean by the curation. Because on one hand, all of the bullshit we talk about. But on the other hand, a case such as this is going to set a new precedent. A new legal precedent. That a person can be charged, a journalist who has journalistic integrity.
Yeah.
To do so, to protect, understand that journalists are supposed to protect their sources.
Yeah.
Because your source You don't want to put them in harm's way because it is a whole. Oh my God! As a journalist, your whole job is to be the bearer of truth.
Exactly.
Despite what the political convenience or the corporate convenience is.
Yeah, it's like if we would have locked up the dude that exposed Watergate. Like,
but and that's the thing, right? So if this was done under Trump, everybody would be bitching. But because Joe Biden is the president, ain't nobody saying nothing. But the media outlets ain't saying nothing, to the extent that I have seen journalists even go at Julian Assange. I'm like, nigga, are y'all dumb or what?
But see, that's what all of this is caused by. They saw Trump get away with so much. That's why I say it's the playground games. Oh, he get to get away with this. He get to pardon all of these people, and they did.
But what did he gonna get away with?
Oh, we gonna do the same thing.
But what did he really get away with?
I mean, he didn't get it. It's the precedent that mattered. It ain't even the fact of what he did. It was the fact
Russiagate was Fugazi. Came out to be Fugazi. We spent the whole 4 years talking about Russiagate.
To me, it was the fact that it was done in the public eye. Because all of this stuff gets done.
What did he do in the public eye?
Just brazenly say a lot of what was going on that was supposed to be insider information. Like, you're not supposed to do certain... Like, Trump did certain things that are done in normal business, but he just said the shit out because he doesn't care. So now that you open the floodgates to just expose everything, it's like, well, fuck it. Trump did it, so we gonna run it up too. You know? He making it public that he pardoning his people out. I'm gonna do it while I'm in office. Like, you know what I mean? So I just think it's people one-upping one another, and it's playground games. It's playground games that are destroying America. I always thought it was gonna be a war of some sort that took us under, but damn it, it's just social media and everybody being able to have the freedom of speech that's fucking us over.
Because everybody talking and ain't talking about nothing.
Ain't talking about shit.
Hey,
that's
Slim.
crazy.
But no, on a serious note though, the Julian Assange case is probably one of the most wicked cases I've seen in such a long time. Just based on the extent that, you know what I'm gonna bring up? I'm gonna bring up this declassified information around what a domestic violence extremist is.
And do you know
America.
Epstein's wife on trial too, ain't she?
She is. But they not talking about that either.
Exactly.
They know that the people attached to that is going to get their head
exactly. Clapped. I'm just like, young Hop. Mind my business, man.
I'm not going to mind my business. And I think that may be an issue in people minding their business.
This is true.
Because
this is very true.
We need to start minding other people's business because there needs to be some levels of accountability. I'm over the point and past the point of, I'm just going, no, I'm not minding my business. You want to know why? Because minding our business is
killing us.
It's gotten us here to a point where anything fucking goes.
Yeah.
To a point where there is no accountability. To a point where you got people walking around talking about my truth, my truth, my truth.
Hey.
But when Julian Assange presents the truth about Hillary Clinton,
they trying to mafioso that man, Mo.
No, they're not trying. They are. That's the difference. They're not trying. They are. And they are because ain't nobody saying nothing. Because also the media at the same time, and when I say media, American media specifically, is also going along with the flow because they've been captured by capitalism. Mm-hmm. That's why I made the distinction earlier between journalism and media. Because journalism is a completely different field from media. Journalists, education, medical, all of those things need to be taken off of the board of capitalism.
Yeah,
when people talk about all of these systems, all of these institutions, what we have to really realize and have to really understand is that certain industries, if we really want to move forward, because I am not the proponent of let's get rid of capitalism, but what I am, because capitalism is in itself has components of innovation, but I do believe in regulated capitalism,
yes,
which we do not live in right now, because anything goes. People have, I'm just going to mind my business. No, certain things need to be taken off the board. I want my journalists to be taken off the board of capitalism. What does that mean? What does that look like? That means that you are funded. There are baselines to salaries. You do not have the same responsibility to the state that other people do. Why? Because your responsibility is not to the state, it's to the people.
Exactly.
Your responsibility is to call out corruption and deviant behavior no matter what. And for you to be locked up as a result,
it's criminal.
It's criminal in itself.
It's criminal, bro. It's criminal. That's some
mafia. For telling the truth.
That's some mafia shit that we doing.
This some biblical shit. I'm not a hyper religious person, but this is some. We silencing the truth tellers. We killing any of the truth tellers, and we throwing them off.
Yeah.
This some what's his name? I forget the king's name.
Which one?
His wife was Jezebel.
Shit.
But basically,
yeah,
they silenced all of the motherfucking truth tellers. You dead, son.
Yeah.
We got oh my god, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
It's so ridiculous, and it's so ridiculous not only because, but I don't really think people understand the precedent that's being set.
They don't, because we talk about Jussie Smollet, bruh.
Because if this go down, and we allow this to go down, all this talking people doing, all of this riding in the street, people want to keep asking like, oh, why they investing all this money into the police and all of this? Why? Because guess what?
If
I understand as a ruler that what I do is causing the people to feel a certain way, I also understand that those people are going to eventually have a grievance that is going to make them try to rise up against me. So because people love to say, oh, it's checkers not chess. It's checkers not chess. It's chess not checkers. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. Because y'all don't understand power dynamics.
And you don't play either one correctly. Shit.
Because they're not ruthless enough. That's why I tell people all the time, you are too civilized to really understand how particular people move, because I have to plan look, if I'm a savage heathen motherfucker, if I'm deviant, I understand the deviant mind.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I am doing, right? Let's say, take for example, right? Let's say I'm raping or beating the shit out of my wife every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that eventually that person is going to eventually fight back, because it's human behavior to preserve self.
Exactly.
Any intelligent person knows that. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I know that what I'm doing to people is stripping them of emotional prosperity, physical prosperity, intellectual prosperity, and so eventually they're gonna fucking fight me back.
Exactly.
So guess what? I'm going to prepare for that day when it comes for you to fight back. I got my shit in line. This is why I tell people to really, really study military science.
Exactly.
Study military science.
Exactly.
Because all of this whole, oh no, we're just going to talk it out, that decorum shit don't matter.
And I'm so tired of it. Because don't nobody listen, these people don't give a fuck.
And I'm sorry.
It ain't even people. These institutions don't give a shit. Because it ain't even about people anymore. It's about algorithms. The algorithms.
People are algorithms. Huh? That's the crazy part.
Yeah. But the algorithms alone drive conversation.
But that's why I say people, though, have to just stop.
They have to.
Because, again, we talking about this shit. I ain't seen this shit in the news, this Julian Assange case in the news at all.
Exactly. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so much stuff that just go under the radar that people don't Like, I was reading articles, bro. If you look at the amount of money that was invested in this year alone in automation by Google, by all of it's in the trillions now. It was in the billions a couple of years ago, but with the DNA splicing, with the automation, with a lot of COVID related things, they ramped up. Like, they took the PPP money and all that money that the government gave out, and they put that shit in automation. So all you people who said, I'm gonna resign, I'm gonna get rid of my job, guess what? When you go back, it's gonna be a kiosk machine doing what you used to do. And they trying to make it so that it has even more functionality. It ain't even people that's why
I hate little dogs in the restaurants.
Yeah, that's bro.
Robots with the dishes, you can come out there, John, get your shit off.
Bruh, that's why I hate when people it ain't even about race, and they keep getting people on racism, and it's like, young, this shit don't even matter. It don't even matter.
Everybody want to get fucked up. But hey, look, if y'all want to, man, I'm about to throw the link in the what you call it. Let me see. I'm gonna throw the link in the goddamn thing. The link is in the if you on YouTube.
I dropped it in there.
It's in the actual thread. If you want to call up, I'm about to go to the Facebook.
Yeah,
but if you still here with us, man, please like the video, share the video. We appreciate it
for sure.
It's simple, it's quick, it's easy.
We building, man. We building.
We trying to change the conversation. We going to change the conversation, but we just need y'all help a little bit because again, the people are what matters.
Like I said,
I just put it in the Facebook too.
Bet. Like I said, we building, man. It's gonna be a lot of good content that we gonna be putting out. A lot of reaction videos and just going through. Like my goal this year is to really dive deep into the untold history of our people and get that education out there, because I'm so tired of people using civil rights, slavery, fucking food stamps, and violence as like the catch-all talking points.
What you mean, nigga?
Look, go to any platform. When they talk Black history, those are the 5 fucking things that they pull from. It's as if nothing else ever happened. Bro, at one point, we had black senators in the 1920s. Like, it's so much history in between them periods of time that we just hail as just...
So what you want people to do?
Huh? I want people to understand our history enough to be able to counteract the bullshit. Like...
But you think people don't know that?
No, they don't. The people who do know it, they profit from it. And they use it in ways that are misleading people. Like, it's a lot of black folk that know our history, but instead of informing people, they just want to fucking make money off of it. Because they know that I can make a bag off of this. I can get me a book deal on just knowing my fucking history. I can make a quick flip. I can, you know what I mean? It's a play.
Yeah.
I can do the shit if I wanted to, but I would rather average people have this information and be able to decipher the bullshit from the, you know what I mean? Because all people are doing, I'm telling you, all people are doing is the people who know, they off to the bag. The people who don't know, they typing bullshit in people comment sections. And that's what you have. You got a lot of people who do know the information, but instead of doing what our past generations did and giving the game, they like, nah, fuck this. I'm going to Amazon and I'm going to write a book. How to be an anti-racist. How to do that. Like, it used to be a point where if you represented black people, you knew black people. And you spoke to black people. And they spoke back to you. But now, all you got to do is know a little bit of the history and you could just write a book and get the bag. And God forbid if you went to one of them Ivy League schools, like I said, I just need people to really dive into and really get an intimate view of the history, because it's a lot of people that just misrepresent facts and data, and because it sounds good, we just roll with it, and they just become leaders for no reason.
Yeah, but we gonna end there, beautiful people. We appreciate y'all for joining the conversation, man. Again, shout out, thank you to everybody who came out to the holiday party yesterday for DC Young Dem.
For sure, that joint was turned.
Man.
Hey, listen.
Look, I was too turned. I was too lit. I'm gonna apologize to my colleague on film. I was probably slapped in the face. But man, definitely thank y'all for coming out. Thank y'all for coming out tonight to watch this. And had a conversation. Again, head over to thegildedsages.com. You can follow us on Instagram at also thegildedsages, where you can keep up, get some posts, get additional content. But the Julian Assange case, man, was a very, very, very interesting one for me. I know a lot of people don't necessarily care about it as much, but I do think it's very important that we protect that man, and not even that man, but the principle.
Yes.
And what he is being called under fire for, in the same way that we should have protected Eric Snowden, because he's still in the run for his life. I don't necessarily care about what president it is, whether they blue, red, white, black, green. I personally want to be able to have the right of free expression in America. I personally want to be able to bring certain things to the light that erode what our democracy or erode what our nation is. And I think anything that impedes that or wishes to go against that is a energy that must be fiercely pushed back upon, because if it's him now, but for all of us who are, or all of those people who would consider themselves activists, journalists, or any one of those different industries who push back on institutions and call out people, I think it's behoove you to respond as such, because we also live in a time where wealth classification is going on, and you can't really compete with the wealth at the level that most people think that they can. But we're dealing with a situation that is literally at the brinks, and I think that we have to become more serious about, certain issues, and bring those issues to the front and make the media cover those issues. So let's start a conversation. Hashtag Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Free Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Y'all talk about free this, free that.
Free that man.
Free Julian Assange, because Julian Assange was doing journalism. Yeah, I know Hillary Clinton was pissed because it cost her the race, but you did it. It was true.
Yeah.
And instead of apologizing and repenting for your mistakes, you all are now on a witch hunt to destroy not a man, but the truth. Because it's not, again, for a moment, I understand, if you watch any of our other videos, which you can do, I understand race. I really do. I understand that that's an issue. But what I'm saying right now is, this right here is not about race.
Mm-mm.
This is a way bigger issue. People can say that it's not, but it is. And it's important that we give a fuck. It's important that we push back and fight for him to be able to have a fighting chance in the future.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, we done.
Yeah. If we don't, there is no First Amendment, bro. It is.
Like, fuck him being a white man and all that, which I feel this man was not an American resident. And I want you to understand the precedent that is setting past even just that. You telling me, let's say this case sets from here on out, no journalist in America should ever speak about China, because guess what? Now that you can extradite somebody abroad that's not even a citizen of your country because it was politically inconvenient,
bro,
you're fucking done.
Yeah.
And I know. I fucking know. Because fuck the humble shit. I know. I call a lot of this shit. I've been calling this shit for like the last 10 years of my life. If we don't fucking get it together right now, bruh, we fucking done. This man literally just published the truth.
And it's on the run.
No, he not on the run. He getting extradited.
He getting extradited. I'm thorough. I mixed him up with Snow.
Yeah, Snowden is on the run. And again, that happened under Obama. But everybody got smoked for Trump. Trump ain't shit, but bruh, like I said in previous past times, I don't have no hope until I see more protections around whistleblowers, until I see more legislation. And that's something, you know what? That's something I'm gonna take up.
And it's sad though. It's sad because guess who are the protected whistleblowers? The Me Too women. Oh, they protected like a.
They're not protected either.
What you mean? All we gotta do is make an allegation.
No,
it ain't even gotta be true.
But did you see the cases and you see the stories that came out for those women who were not protected? See, you talking about a different class because you're also talking about political convenience. Because those women who had a case that was politically inconvenient, Tyree.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
It ain't about none of that shit. If it's politically inconvenient or you going against what the fuck we trying to do, you're done, son.
Yeah,
you're done, son.
It's straight.
I wouldn't even say them because even that, as much as people, and again, like I said, I get it. I get why a person would feel like that. But even them, these affluent women don't give a fuck about these poor women.
They don't.
But look, I'm gonna let them find out on their own. I'm just here to tell people the truth. I know most affluent women don't give a fuck about poor women because they serve the same patriarchy that motherfuckers is fighting against. But at the same time,
That part.
Ain't nobody gets no motherfucking patriarchy. The reason that patriarchy, especially in America, when we talk about it specifically, white male exists because ain't nobody never motherfucking uplifted the motherfucking black man.
Exactly.
Because guess what?
That part.
If there was a black patriarchy as well as a white patriarchy, bitch, we gonna be in war. Because guess what? I don't know.
But it's that part.
Fuck
because at the end of the day, what that will say goes. So you can fiend that feminism shit all you want, but
feminism is there too.
But when that will say you not getting X unless you marry, okay, where your feminism at then? You're not gonna give your wealth over to no black women, but you gonna have them.
Like I said,
that's another show. That's another show. That is another show.
Until the marriage rates drop, I don't believe it.
That is another show.
We talk shit about white men all day, but y'all niggas still getting married to them motherfuckers.
Exactly.
So look, hey,
that's another show.
But appreciate y'all. Hit the like button, hit the share button. We gonna catch y'all another time, and we out. Thank you.